What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Back Your Play with Q. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones, from our wonderful friends over at Play It Again Sports. We mentioned right now they're buying good and used items in baseball, hockey, golf. They'll pay you on the spot. Only place around paying you right on the spot for golf. Only place around paying you for composite baseball bats, gloves, high-tier golf drivers, putters, sets, adult hockey, skates. I was up there the other day looking for some weights as well. They got it. You name it, not a problem. Adult hockey skates, adult hockey protective gear as well. If you heard it, mention it right here on BYP. You'll get an extra 10% added to a buy or take 10% off your next entire order. And with that, we welcome in our good friend as we talk a little sports betting and handicapping and gambling, prop professor Shine, kind enough to join us, who I know probably took the over last night, maybe in that Phillies D-backs game one. By the way, game two tonight, Phils lead it 1-0 in the NLCS lane. It's about $1.65 right now, but prop, you must have been ecstatic watching that game, right? I mean, you want a home run, you want a home run, you want a home run, and hell of a season for my Diamondbacks, right?
I actually had under. I don't know what I was saying. It was a small bet because I didn't have a lot of great data. I didn't like the 7.5. They juiced the hell out of 7.5 all over the place. I thought I was special because I got it before it was overly juiced. A lot of places closed 7.5 -1/4. I got less than that. And I wasn't even worried when the Phillies were going crazy. I said, you know what, this will settle down. I get through on the sixth inning. I said, Arizona's not going to score here.
That's what I thought.
Said, I got a shot with this. And then it goes, then it's 4-0. And then the Phillies left all the ducks on the pond with the Real Muto double play. And I was like, oh, it stinks if you're a Phillies fan, but it's good for under. And of course, just to stick it to me, I lose by a half, which is fine because as we kind of brought up last week, the world was against Dallas, and I did have Dallas.
And of course,
I didn't watch any of the game, which is good because Chargers came out like a house of fire.
They lose it by 3 again. By 3, I'm thinking of you last night. I'm like, why do I keep betting on the Chargers? This is their 7th loss by 3 or less over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, in a sense, it was kind of like a buyback for me because I had Chargers and teasers, and I said, you know what? Let me almost, in a sense, buying some of your equity back. I was kind of a little overexposed with the Chargers plus 8.5. Remember, we mentioned last week if you want to use the Texans with the Chargers, or Commanders with the Chargers, I thought that was a good bet. As we got closer to the game, the line was moved tiny bit toward. I'm going to keep calling them San Diego until they are above 500. Yeah, until they're as a friend on acquaintance on Twitter said, until they win the West, they're called San Diego. So I thought when the line went to 1, and some people were actually moved to pick them. I thought it was an over thing with Dallas. I'm not in love with that. How we both feel about McCarthy, how the world feels about McCarthy. But I still think they have a decent defense. It came down to a defensive thing, and that's what happened. They lose by 3. But I didn't watch any of the game, and the Phillies was such. They put some drama into it after the guy with the last name of the cigar, Perdomo, hits the. As soon as he got the bat, I felt like smoking a cigar. I was like, wow,
it got dicey.
It got one out, and they made it interesting. And of course, Kimbrel, adds some spice to
he's got a little Mitch Williams and a little Lidge in him, right? But I'll tell you what, calling the game last night, I think it was Francoeur, brought up some ridiculous points. It was right before he said, the one negative about this the Diamondbacks defense is, the lack of arm strength in the outfield. And when the very next pitch right in the outfield has nothing on the throw. I mean, these guys are Johnny on the spot. And then Darling, who I love, was talking a little bit about how Kimbrel sometimes, once he goes south, he really starts to go south. I never thought last night, though, Wheeler was he was in such a groove. They threw out their best pitcher last night, Arizona did. And that kid got absolutely, I mean, listen, you saw early on, boom, Schwarber and then Harper, and that stadium's absolutely electric. I expect it again tonight. Nola's going to be on the hill. Our guy, Aaron Nola. You got 165 right now with the Phillies. Obviously, they're the favorite going forward. People like them for the series. I expect a big outing from Nola tonight. I really do. I think he's going to give him, six and a third, maybe a 2-3 hit ball. I got to start trusting this guy, even though I'm not the biggest fan of his. So I do like the Phillies tonight just because their offense is. Harper just reminds me of that groove that A-Rod was in 2009, man. He's just locked in. They all are.
Harper, I was looking up his numbers, and I sent a tweet out purposely to it. Number one, it's how I really feel. Number two, to piss people off. It really didn't get there enough. But I said Harper's better than Schmidt, and I even had some friends, text message me saying, that's a bold statement, whatever. But look at Harper in the playoffs.
You talking offensively?
Well, I'm talking overall. I'm saying, like, Harper, remember when Harper was younger, he wasn't awful in the outfield. He had a really strong arm until, obviously, the problems he's had. And a lot of Schmidt was a great, obviously, fielding third baseman. But, the Gold Glove is a subjective award.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Schmidt remember they gave a Gold Glove to Jeter, when he had like 20, when he was like, the 10th best fielder. So Schmidt was a great fielder. Was he an all-time fielder? Was he better for his time? There was a lot of really good higher percentage guys from Buddy Bell, Ken Reitz. We're splitting hairs. Schmidt definitely was a better fielder. Schmidt overall is the best third baseman in history regular season. But postseason,
a little different with the numbers.
He's over 200 points lower OPS and slugging. Over a decent sample, 36 games. I mean, when you're a Hall of Fame best player ever, you think he'd have higher than 690 slugging. And Harper's first playoffs with Washington were similarly bad. But since with the Phillies, it's
now, how much do you attribute to the ballpark, though?
And the little bit more watered down. Yeah, that's definitely a factor. But 690, Rich, 690 is like,
yeah. I feel as though
his all time. I want to throw out his last year. Like, if you take his best 5 years, Schmidt's it's incredible. It's like 950 all time. It's like over 9 if you add in, his early years and his late years, when he was really young and then really and relatively old. Listen, it's really close. I think the conversation had started somewhere on social media, like, hey, if Harper wins, where does he stand in Philadelphia?
Yeah, the Pantheon
lure. And do you bring up Dr. J? You bring up Bobby Clark, Bernie Perrine, you just go on. I mean, somebody brought up Chuck Bednarik. Nobody remembers Bednarik.
But real quick, 2 out of 3, real quick. 2 out of 3 you mentioned. What's the difference? They were homegrown, right? Dr. J, think about it. ABA, you
True.
Prime. You're talking Schmidt played from 72 to 88. Harper was a free agent and came over. So is it, as we say, recency bias, right? You fall in love so fast. Look, if they win the World Series and they're led by Harper, then yeah, he's in the Wall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer.
I think he's right there with Schmidt. I don't think there's any reason to say one's better than the other, but Schmidt.
But what's your criteria? What's your criteria?
I'm still mad that Schmidt went 1 for 21 against the World in '83.
Well, they were horrible in that series.
And people say, "Oh, we won the MVP in '80." Listen, Carlton's the MVP in 1980.
100%. 100%.
The guys get you look back through World Series history, guys that go 2-0 and give up like 4 runs.
Yep.
Or have a 2.5 ERA in a 6-game series.
Yeah.
14, 16 innings. That guy wins the whole thing. It's almost like the voters were like, Schmidt was due. Well, wait, what the hell? Carlton wasn't due. So I
Yeah.
mean, the best Phillies player of my lifetime is Carlton. But I do separate pitchers from position guys. But again, you're splitting hairs. But if you want to have your top four, it's really difficult to come up with an Eagle. But I think for fan favorites, people outside the city, they still point to Reggie White. Reggie White is not. You remember Reggie White left the Eagles and he went in the
He
Hall
won
of
a
Fame.
Super Bowl with Green Bay. Yeah.
It's Dawkins. Dawkins is, I think, arguably the most popular Eagle.
How about Iverson in the NBA though? With the
Iverson is more popular than Dr. J and Barkley. People don't want to hear that, but Iverson is supremely more popular than all.
Real quick, in '80, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Carter finished second in the MVP voting. That's the year that Carlton went 24-9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He won the Cy Young. Yeah.
But it's all criteria, right? But if you're saying biggest impact, remember when they signed Jim Tomei? They didn't win anything, but it started to turn the franchise around. And the argument was, well, Ryan Howard had to wait another season and here and there, but they still started win 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, culminating, right? Get back there in 9. Look, he's a fantastic player, no doubt about it. If he continues like this, he's going to be the MVP of the NLCS. I mean, or could be Castellanos. I don't know, but I would put him in the pantheon. He probably will go down as. I mean, geez, when you say top 5 Phillies, right?
It's tough to do top 5. I mean, maybe you pick 2 guys on each thing. The thing that hurt Schmidt is Schmidt didn't become beloved until after he retired. When Schmidt played, people who were at a younger age than us don't remember. He was a surly guy.
Of course, and he struck out. He struck out almost 2,000 times.
Well, it seemed like he struck out and not the best times.
Yeah.
Del Unser saved his ass in the Astros series. If you don't believe me, go on YouTube and look up Game 5. With 2 guys on, and Schmidt's biggest at bat in his lifetime struck out in 3 pitches. It hurt. It hurt him, and the criticism hurt him. He was an overly sensitive guy, which Philly and New York and Boston will eat you up. But since he's had distance from it, and he's been around, and he's almost an ambassador, it has lifted him up. Now compare that to Harper. Harper's in the stands. He's high-fiving people. It's a different feel, a little bit of a different fan, less cynical, because Schmidt, unfortunately, had to play on those teams that were so close and lost really close series. So before 1980, Schmidt was almost like a pariah. Like, hey, when's he going to win? Remember, they bring Rose in, and they finished 4th.
Yeah, well, he batted, I think, like a $130 something his first or second year in the bigs. I mean, there was talk about sending him back down. He struggled mightily, right?
His first year and a half was terrible. But, if you look back at 74, his 74 is unbelievably underrated. It's before my time. But you go back and look, his WAR is like 9.5. Yeah, he batted like 450. He was unreal that early on a team that wasn't that good. And his 77 is unbelievable. So I think it was before a time that people understood the numbers. Anybody not named Bill James really didn't. Or if you weren't playing strat baseball, you kind of didn't dig into the numbers. You dug into homers, RBIs, and then how you acted. Were you a people person? Unfortunately, Schmidt just wasn't a people person, and it hurt him. But I think he's brought the fans back again because he's been an ambassador for Philly. Sure. He's around. He didn't run away and screw those guys, that kind of thing. So it's helped him. I realized that, we're kind of splitting hairs. And if you're going to put Harper, a friend of mine did bring me a little bit back to reality and says, Harper has to win it. And that for even to have that conversation.
Yep.
I think, we're a little close to it. I'm a little too close to it. I don't overly root for them. I do want them to win because it's good for this entire area. It's good for businesses. I don't care if you own a sandwich shop or a T-shirt shop or you lay tile. Everybody's in a good mood when the Phillies and Eagles are doing well. When they're not, it's like living in Siberia, people slam the door in your face in the bank. It's just, it's just nobody's thrilled about nothing. So, but with that being said, the Phillies have, if you can beat Arizona, game one is huge. I think a good play when they get out to Arizona. I'm going to be taking long looks at the team total. I believe I saw, look at the headline, they're going to be dogs in game 3. If they dare to make the Phillies dogs in game 3, I think act accordingly. The Phillies ain't losing that game 3. Matter of fact, if they win game 2, I give them roughly, right now I think they're about 25. I say they're about 25% to sweep. So that goes up exponentially if they win game 2, obviously. I think it'll go up to probably, if you get anything above, plus 200 or above, I think you hammer the sweep. Conversely, though, if you look at Texas-Houston, did you happen to take a look at Astros numbers, road and home? With so much going on and me working a lot by myself, I remember jotting that down as a note, but they're unbelievable. They won 50-something games on the road, Houston, 53 games, and they stunk at home. So if anybody's going to come back, it could be the Astros. That game's really interesting for baseball fans in general. Obviously, for Philly fans, you want to pay attention who you might be playing. Game 3, they're throwing Scherzer.
Yeah.
That number's low. That number's low. I already bet Scherzer. I don't care. They had a layoff. Plus, if I lose, it gives me more fodder to really, really light him up, because if he comes out and give they lose 8-1, it's gonna count to Scherzer's 3 Cy Young legacy. He's got to go out and win this game. I think as far as the Phillies are concerned, you want to play. I'd rather play Texas, although I don't know who has home field if against Phillies Houston. I know Texas has home field because of that sweep in the beginning of the year.
Right, that opened up the season.
We talked about, because remember, Texas came out like a softball team. And really, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, look at Bochy," and that helped the Phillies to come out 5-10.
How about the total tonight, sitting at 7 now? ATS, Arizona's 43 and 39. Their overs 36 out of their last 81. That's when they go back home. So I just pulled up futures wise. It's sitting right now at 7. I think tonight you're going to get. I think Arizona's going to have to score tonight. If they win the game, they're going to have to get to NOLA, which means they're going to have to get at least 2, 3, 4 runs. We've seen over the last year plus, especially in that stadium, in that ballpark, you can be up 5-0. The Phillies come back and they win a 10-8 game, right? So I'm looking. I think NOLA will pitch very well tonight, but I also think this can be a 6-3 type of Phillies win.
I mean, if you play set, I actually was looking at the Phillies team total tonight, but I do like, I think you play over 7. If you don't if you don't love it,
plus 140.
I think you wait. You're going to get high numbers in Arizona, but not ridiculously high. And I think I'm really going to take long looks at the overs there, because the Phillies are just itching to get to a place that's warm and the ball flies out. And you saw what they did in regular season. Yeah, and you see what they did in the regular season. What's weird is the rookie in the first inning last night. How does he not steal second? Like, is something going on?
So
I thought I missed something. How are you not steal, especially with the 2 outs? Oh, you're taking a bat out of the kid from Norristown. I don't care about that.
You have to, because they stole bases throughout the regular season. I think.
What are they waiting for? His whole game. You can't out homer. The Braves just learned you can't out homer the Phillies.
Yeah,
you're going to have to get on, steal, get a single, get the. I just, something was going on. I thought I missed it because I wasn't, deep in, so I didn't kill them. But I was like, you got to steal there. Yeah. And then I heard Darling say it. I'm surprised he's not running. So that kind of gave me leeway that where I was like, wow, something. is something wrong with the rookies? Did he twin something? He had the mid on. That means you can steal, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're talking about a team that stole, I think, 186 bases. I mean,
It's insane. The whole team runs. Marte run. I mean, they run. The guy scored 50-something bases, was only called 5 times. Don't let me
166.
manage that team. You're stealing. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
getting on your stealing. It's the old back in the day, the Vince Coleman thing. When he walked, it was a double.
Yeah, because you knew he was.
I don't care. Remember the Phillies back then used to pitch out. And he was safe. Coleman would do it. Coleman and Ricky Henderson, and back when Tim Raines, back when
Rock Raines.
Teams stole. It came back a little. Obviously, came back in a big way.
Play small ball. You got to manufacture runs. So you do like the Phillies tonight?
I don't like that number.
That number.
If you're a fan, I think you've already played it. You already have them for the series. You already have them plus 2-1, which was plus 210 was out there when we're down to the Final Four. Maybe you just ride that. I do think we're going to get more value. I say we, like I'm playing. The Phillies are going to get more value out there. Who's Arizona going to throw as the fourth pitcher? Is the rest? Are they going to bring back Allen? I don't care if they throw Randy Johnson in Arizona. I like the Phillies' chances.
Get the day off Wednesday, back in Arizona on Thursday.
I just don't like the 165.
Yeah.
Maybe you lay a run and a half, but it's tough to lay a run and a half when the total's 70. It's a way to really crush your bankroll. But if you want to gamble, I think you take the Phillies. If you want to be more conservative, I think you wait for a better, more plus EV number when you get out to Arizona. And I think your overall focus is going to be, once they win, or if they win tonight, or even if they win game 3, you really want to start thinking. I think you want to think early about what the matchups are going to be like in Texas.
Yep.
I think some of the Phillies assistants are keeping an eye on what Scherzer does.
Pitching
because
matchups.
If they go 3-0, you're gonna play them, and you want to really look at everything, because Texas is absolutely as on fire, almost as on fire as the Phillies. Ironically, Phillies are as on fire at home as anybody who's ever played. And Texas hasn't lost a road game. So it's like, something's got to give. But I think that'll be a great series. It's great for baseball. It'll be great for us. Maybe it'll be 12-10 games. I think the Phillies have the better team. It'll be even with Texas with the extra home game, it's going to be right around a pickup. If you can get Phillies plus anything against Texas. Now I know I'm jinxing. I'm not even saying it, but this series could be over before next time we talk, right?
I know. Which bails me out because I didn't take the Diamondbacks going.
Well, listen, you're house money. You won the total. You didn't plan to make the playoffs, I don't think. You played to make the playoffs. Yeah. You didn't plan
total playoffs, and then NLCS.
You got the money. You got the money. That's fine. But segue into the game that nobody in Philadelphia area watched, which was Dallas, the week before their bye week. Both guys getting struck. I happened to have it on delay, so when the Phillies went to a break, I put on the other TV just in time to see McCarthy kind of fumble. I don't know, 8 seconds, 3 seconds. It's almost like he says, "Screw it, just kick the field goal." Which, if you're not good at this kind of thing, like Salah stinks. McCarthy stinks. Remember, I give credit to Reed. Remember, 15 years ago, Reed was awful at this kind of awful. And he good for him because he's improved slightly because he blew the Bengals at the end when they had inside the 5. So it's not completely out of Reed's system. But my point being, there's a lot of guys that mess this up. I'm surprised you don't hire somebody and that's their only job. Or you add it to your assistant's job or one of the quality control guys.
Sure.
You can't get one guy to say in that booth. Now, I'm assuming that's not going on. Maybe McCarthy's going, shut up. I don't know. That kind of stuff doesn't come out until McCarthy will write a book in like 2035 or whatever. But how does that get – how do they mess up routinely? The thing that pops in my head is Harbaugh before they won the Super Bowl, the year they had Patriots, done. First thing, third and goal inside the 5, you make a field goal, you're going to win. Or was it tie? I think they were going to tie. Yeah, they was going to tie. But you were right there, and that's when the D-back for New England knocked the ball out. They had a touchdown, the Ravens. And I asked somebody who was in the NFL for a long time. He's been in front office, scouting and whatnot. And I said, what the hell happened there? And he said, they panicked.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that, but
it's the truth.
It happened. They were so surprised. They planned for this to happen, and they're like, oh, my God, we're at the 3.
Yeah.
Flacco's to take a step to get a first down. So this kind of thing with McCarthy, they said, I don't think it can't happen, Rich. It can't happen. I'm glad it happened because it's Dallas, but you've been in this league. You're Mike McCarthy. You're in this league. All these
can't allow that to happen.
It can't happen.
Hey, how about the other night? I mean, listen, I'm sitting there in a horrible game. I want to get your Jets thoughts in a moment because, again, I go back and forth. Like,
sure, yeah.
I hate the whole argument, of too much time. But the Giants game, right? End of the half. All you do is don't turn the ball over and you kick 3. And it turns out that Monday morning quarterbacking, you still got to get in the end zone, right? But Taylor needs to know that as a veteran. You're not checking off and calling an audible there. You're not. And you can sit there and say, well, that's 3 off the board. Then they kick a field goal to win it. It shows they're a bad team. It's a horrible lapse. And then you got the Jets. I have no problem. They couldn't get in the end zone. If you have an opportunity to get in the end zone, there's no guarantee if you take a couple of knees or run it a couple times in the line that you're going to get a clean snap and you're going to get a clean field goal. Like this whole argument of you scored too early, I'm so over it. Their defense kept them in that game. And
you're a Giant fan. You're a Giant. I mean, you're a Giant fan. And
Bradshaw did it in the Super Bowl.
Giant fans were kind of trolling me. Well, Barkley's. I said, well, how do you know? At the end of the game, I said, if you're going to pay Barkley, if you're going to pay Barkley $12 million, use him for the 1. Somebody said to me, well, he got stopped in the first half. I don't care. I don't care. Stop him again. The other thing is, he has a high ankle sprain. Look at the plays that they were using for him. They knew he was hurt. To me, if you're on the field, I'm using you.
I think
the other thing is, and then, okay, I get it. That's your second best play. Taylor, Taylor's an athlete. He's not, maybe you run a sneak.
RPO.
I don't like the play, but if the play before the first half, because it's Taylor and it's not because it's Jones, and I think you kick the field goal. I am never for that. Especially if you stink, especially if you're not going to make the playoffs.
No, in that regard, yes.
In this situation, your defense was playing so well.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I don't unless you practiced these short yardage plays all week. No, you know what I mean? Every day, and then you say, "Listen, run that play, boop, boop, boop," and then because we're solid with it. If you didn't kick the field goal, now what we're not privy to is maybe that was in their arsenal of plays. Maybe they're supposed to be checked. I don't know. Dable didn't say anything about it.
It was on Taylor. Taylor saw.
He checked out. Yeah,
he checked out. And here's another thing: the 4th and 8, right? If you're going to go for broke on 4th and 8, then at least on 3rd down, make it a little more manageable. That's what I never understand. You know how you hear the announcer say if they run it here, most likely they're going to go for it on 4th down. Like Aikman last night turned around and said, well, it's 4th and short. You're going to go for it on any part of the field. And I'm like, Troy, what are we talking about? On any part of the field here? I don't like some of the play calling. We saw it across the league in these 3rd and 4th short yardage situations. I don't understand. These coaches are paid millions of dollars, man. These guys are paid millions of dollars, and yet there's blunders constantly every single solitary week.
It is, and then remember we talked a little bit of detail about Oregon and Washington last week as the game of the week, and it pretty much played out kind of like I broke and clocked it a little bit. I was right. I thought Oregon was the better team. I thought Oregon would win the game. I thought even though both teams Oregon really hadn't played anybody.
No,
but I kind of threw that out. I don't use that. It's always tough to quantify. I think you are who you are. If Oregon
plays, play calling late, did you like to play calling late?
I loved it, and I don't think Lanning should be. Did I get his name right, Lanning? I don't think he should be getting killed at all because my thing is this: with the NIL, you almost have free agents now. Why go out and get Nicks if you're not going to get them to make plays for you? I'm just not a big believer. The punter for Oregon is a redshirt sophomore. You're going to make this guy coffin corner a kick for you. What's the percentage that he's going to coffin corner? So then I'm getting Oregon's back there. So, even if he punts it out of bounds, you gain 27 yards. The way you play late in games is you want everything underneath.
Sure.
So you got to stop Penix one extra play where the outcome of 4th and 3, if you get it, it is over.
Yeah.
So the risk reward is so great to me. You have to play. And I think if he punts it and the punter shanks it,
you're in trouble. Short field.
Well, you know what the coaches do. Lanning probably wouldn't do this. A lesser coach would be like, well, if our punter didn't shank it,
throw him under the bus.
You can push the blame, and you think it's going to, in a coaching parlance, it's almost like a business decision, especially in the pros, they do it. They think losing close buys you an extra year, which I get it. Next year could be millions of dollars.
Right.
So
it buys you a little more equity. Yeah.
Sure.
Depending upon if you're losing close games and you're, quote, playing hard.
Yeah, you're playing to Herm Edwards quote, we play to win the game. A lot of guys don't. When you have the inferior team, they play to lose close because they say, you know what? Hey, listen, look at this. Remember the year we're sucked?
Right there. Yeah.
And we lost to the top Bills, Buffalo Bills by 5 in your interview for, Dable's
with
future.
A backup quarterback and no line.
Dable's future, interview for a coordinator, he's going to bring it up, but in college, I mean, where you get what punter's great? Who cares? I'm more inclined to go for it. Let Washington stop it. Oh, you're giving Penix a short field. Well, they don't automatically give you 6 points. And Oregon still got the ball back.
Yeah.
And had a chance to win. Now, you want to argue about the play calling in that game. He has to go to the end zone at least once. I was tweeting it. He's got to go up top. You might get a penalty. He might catch the ball. I think the chance of you getting an interception or turnover there is lower because you have Nicks. And if you does throw interception, I'm sitting at the podium going, listen, we got Nicks here. He didn't make the play. Washington guy made a good play. I'm here to win and put this guy in a position to win. Stop putting it on your punter like Ryan Day did last year in the championship game. Stroud gets them all the way on the field. They play for the field goal. You put your entire season
on the line because of
this 19-year-old kicker who's going to be thinking about this. He's probably going to be your guest on a show in about 10 years as a communications major. He's going to be in the media, and he's still going to be. He's not going to be able to sleep for 10 years. Why would you do that to the guy? Let Stroud make a play. Be aggressive. I mean, of course, the first guy, the first pundit on ESPN who hates the play is Booger McFarland. And then, nobody says anything as a counterpoint. It tilts me to no end. There's two sides to this. To Gary Danielson's credit, he said, yeah, I 100% back that play, which kind of surprised me because Danielson, it seems like all the ex-NFL quarterbacks have a touch of something going on and they love punting. I don't know, from Aikman to Esiason to Sims to Danielson to Orlovsky. They all like punting. They all punt because they assume that they make the assumption that the punt's going to be perfect, that it's not going to get blocked. They're not going to shank it. In college, it happens all the time. And then, the other thing it tells me is the kicker. Look what happened in Oregon. He misses the easy field goal, 40. It happens constantly. Sanchez was the announcer for the Jets-Eagles game.
Yes.
And for some reason, Sanchez is in the same boat of this. He thinks field goals are equivalent to touchdowns. It's an extra 4 points. It matters. It matters. And guess what? You know what you're not hearing? You're going to hear it right here on your show from me. They go for it, 4th and 3. Hurts gets it. If he kicked the field goal, how different does that game look? With that, now, of course, it might play out differently. But if they kick the field goal, they have 4 less points. Maybe you're playing from behind.
Right.
I think you have Hurts. You gave him $900 billion. Go get the 3 yards. And if you don't get it, you have Zach Wilson on his own 1.
You backed him up. A kid that's shaky that you think he's going to throw a pick, or worst case scenario, they're going to run it 3 straight times.
We might get the ball. We might get the ball back at the 50, 3 minutes from now, and now you got to stop us again. I also think there's something to be inferred here about a defense that's going against a team that constantly do this. I think deep down it demoralizes teams to know you got to stop them 4th down. How many times we see defensive guys excitedly go 4th down, 4th down. They're so excited about, 4th and short, you're going to punt or you're going to kick the field goal.
Not anymore. Everyone's going.
But if they're excited about it, that's kind of a red flag that maybe you should go for it. Because if the only team's happy, how happy are the Jets if the Eagles kick a field goal 4th and 3? I mean, not regardless of the outcome.
Right.
They're happy. They don't want to have to defend 3 yards for a touchdown. Staley went for it, 4th down. I hear nothing about it. Nothing. I know they lost the game. If they kick the field goal, your defense stinks. Oh, kick the field goal, play defense. This is that Mike Lombardi, 500 years of experience. Kick the field goal, play defense. Well, hey, Mike, what if my defense stinks? Yeah. You know what I mean? What if you're an okay defense and the refs take the game away from
you? You got to get in the end zone. I'm sorry, man. You got to get in the end zone. You have to get in the end zone. I don't care what level it is, especially when your defense, especially when you already have a quarterback that's thrown a couple bad picks and has been pressured all game long. Let your defense go out and close the deal. I want to look. I know it's only Tuesday. I want to get into a couple of these very, very early thoughts and lines. And by the way,
I'm all over it. I've already made a bunch of bets. So
real quick, your point about keeping it in the middle of the field, that was derived from Walsh. Bill Walsh in 81 in that Super Bowl when they played Cincinnati and they went up big. He was like, you know what? I'll give them 20-20. Don't give them the sideline. Keep them in the middle of the field and let the clock run. And from there, it's kind of been the sediment, right? We always talk about the prevent defense prevents teams winning. I don't necessarily subscribe to that either anymore because, again, if you play it the right way and play the percentages, chances are you're gonna be on the right side of the outcome. Is my point, right? It's just I don't know.
Well, a lot of the coaches, a lot of the people who are ex-coaches, ex-players, ex-front office guys, they conscribe to this attitude. Well, listen, we got hired because our gut instinct is so good. That's kind of what that's what they're going down. I got hired. This is the myth that they're trying to sell the public. And the worry from their point of view is, well, with analytics, anybody can be an NFL expert. That's not true. What you see in front of you is what the math-based decisions tell me. Says, wait a minute, let's look over some of these scenarios. Maybe there's a better way to do it. You're trying to answer the question of how can we be more efficient? Maybe there's more efficient things than punting 4th and 1 and you're on the other team's 35. You know, maybe there's a more efficient way to do this. And that's all the data-driven stuff has come about, but it's threatened the ex-execs, the ex-players, all the way into basketball.
Yeah.
You know, it's threatening the Barkley. It's threatening. Look at baseball.
Because they're very
Look how many people were against the woman, the brilliant woman who just turned her contract down
in
from
Miami.
Miami. Now she turned the contract down because I think the Red Sox are going to hire her. And guess what?
That's an interesting thought.
It's open. Why would she turn down an extension? She's probably going to end up with the Red Sox.
Yeah,
I'm
she
guessing.
declined the option. You're right.
Pure guess. But I remember when she got hired. It wasn't just maybe gender bias. I don't care if she's a Martian. If you have good ideas about players, whatever, and that's kind of in baseball. They're kind of trying to answer it. They're trying to do it in all sports. And football, for whatever reason, has this kind of backlash from Larry Fitzgerald to executives saying like, oh, well, analytics doesn't take into account if the lineman has a busted pinky or an upset stomach. Yes, it does. That's where the term all things being equal comes into play. It factors in all of that because your lineman having a pinky issue, well, the other guy could have a pinky issue. So it takes everything into account. Again, this shouldn't be that threatening. You're just trying to answer, how can we do this better? How can we score more points? It goes all the way down, filters all the way down to player evaluation, and it filters into what I do, which is trying to figure out who the best team is to place some of your dollars at.
It's give the competitive edge.
Sure. So you want to look at some of the pro lines?
Again, Tuesday edition BYP, Q here, Rich Quinones, and the prop kind enough to join us from our wonderful friends over at Played Against Sports. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms and the YouTube channel, Rich Q on Q. All right, so we got 6 in the books. Week 7 starts off Thursday night football. Jags, Saints laying 3. You just give me 3 or 4 games that you've kind of, or even 4 or so, that you've kind of already you said you already bet and you looked at. I can tell you right now, I'm calling it right now. The Giants are winning the game against Washington.
I do like the Giants. I already played them in a bunch of teasers. I played them in because you're going over some key numbers. I like them on the money line. I think it's always, if you notice, I mean, I don't want to bore everyone with the stats, but if you had these 2-game road trips, and you get the first game, it is in the line because Washington is much better than the Giants. I don't think it's in the line enough counter of saying, hey, listen, they got their first game. So I do like the Giants. I agree with you. This also goes right into which if everything in sports wasn't going on, would be the talk of everybody. It's the talk of the Midwest, and it's the Lions. And now you have talk after the Eagles lost. You had this kind of narrative of look at Detroit's schedule, look at the Eagles' schedule. Or the Eagles not even going to get the 2 seed? I said pump the brakes because you can't say the Lions are going to sweep every game at home, like things I've heard. Now, Lions fans aren't saying that because they kind of experience like anything can happen.
But you can say the Eagles, though, have not – there's something amiss with the offense, and they're leaking a little bit of oil. And I'll tell you this, if they lose to Miami, which forget about the line for a moment, mano a mano, if they lose to Miami, look at their next couple games, man.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week.
Right?
It's they got Buffalo, San Fran,
City,
off the top of my head. You still got to play at Dallas. You still got to play home Dallas. You still got to play at Washington.
So one loss can be 3 out of 4.
Seattle. It could. But my thing about the Lions is don't hand them the last game of the year if it's needed, that the Vikings can't go in there and win. Oh, the Vikings stink. Detroit's going to be favored. Don't hand me. Well, now that Bears quarterback's out, it makes that a little iffy. But if Justin is on that team and they go in, sure, they're going to be more than a touchdown fit. But we've seen touchdown teams in division win games on the road all the time, especially late in the year. All I'm saying is, don't think that the Lions are shooing for the 2 seed. And you know what, Rich? Even if they are,
A lot of
I
football
know,
left.
I know it'll mean the Eagles have to win 2 road games, possibly, whatever.
And they can.
But if you get me a divisional and it's Eagles in the Lions, I'm not happy if I'm the Lions at all with that scenario. You know, I'd rather have home Dallas, which
because we know about their playoff failures and experience, right? And the Eagles are a different animal. You're right. They're built for the playoffs. Dallas is soft.
Now, I will say this, which you know, all these years, the last few of Goff getting a lot of grief. Not so much last year.
Playing for a contract.
But, you know, he has won playoff games on the road. I get that the Saints game was, you know, marred or whatever. He did lose games. The Lions, I wouldn't be against the Lions. If the Lions have to play at San Fran or at the Eagles, I can see them winning either one of those games. I'm going to tell you right now, the parity in the league at the top is very hard to disseminate, and you're going to have a lot of overlays here. We are only in October, so I'm not going to guess who the 2 seed is going to be. I think you can mark it down that the Eagles are going to win a game they shouldn't, and they're going to lose a game they shouldn't.
Which they just did.
I can 100% see them losing to Miami, losing at Washington, beating KC on the road, and beating Seattle on the road. I could 100% see that.
Would you right now, it's funny, we're talking about Brock Purdy a week ago. Now he was odds-on favorite among, you know, MVP, has a clunker against Cleveland. You called it. You said that game was going to be a lot closer than we saw. Cleveland wins the game outright. 49ers can't convert the field goal. How about Jared Goff now? When you look at his MVP odds, you have to put Goff in that conversation right now.
I play Goff. If you can get Goff MVP is 22-1. I seen it as low as 18-1. I think all those numbers are good. I don't think you split hairs with any of that crap. I think 20-1 is still viable because look at it this way: they could have a bad game. This game, actually, I'll take that back. Lions could lose. He could still not
30 of 35 for 350.
They could lose, you know, 31-27. How about they could lose 38-35?
Right. And he goes nuts.
And it doesn't. And I've said it last week, if you lose, if you're ever going to lose, if you're a head coach, if you're a team, if you're a fan, if you're ever going to lose a game, you want to lose out of division, out of conference.
Right.
Which is what San Fran and Eagles did this week.
That's right. Cleveland and Jets.
Oh, they're bad losses. There are worse losses.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose.
Because think about it, conference record seeding, it's not going to pressure.
You know, a bad loss, the Jets loss is bad. At Giants is exponentially worse for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So if the Lions are going to play a dud, you know, they went on the road, they dominate Tampa. I don't see Tampa's a fraud. I think Lions are that good.
Getting 3 against Baltimore.
Yeah, I think this won't be indicative of how good Lions are or how good Ravens are. This is just a scheduling quirk. It's an out-of-conference, middle-of-the-year game. If the Lions get down, I think they'll just all right. Let's just throw it, see what happens. Let's see what let's not take it too cute with stuff. And that in itself would be probably a little bit effective. With that being said, I love the Ravens this week.
Okay.
I played the Ravens already. I played the Ravens money line. I played a -3. I played a -2.5 when it came out, juiced. I played it. I don't know if anybody wants to contact me. What you never hear from anybody that gives out the games, what percent, how much do you like this? What percentage of your bankroll are you risking? It never comes up. It's very important. I don't care if you're betting 100 a game or 10,000 a game. So if your top play, say is 3% of your bankroll, you really think you have a good edge in this game, that's something you should probably say. Conversely, if you say, well, I lean that way, I kind of like it, it might be half a percentage. It might be you're $100 better, this might be a $60 bet for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's never talked about, and that's how I can tell if people bet or not, because they're not, because that all counts into your ROI, and it's
That's right.
very important, because if you go 4-3 and a guy's flat betting, he's like, oh, I went 4-3. You go 4-3 and you're 2-0 in your bet in your game, in the games you really like. Do the bet, your ROI is better. The money in your back pocket or front pocket or wherever is obviously much more. So I like the Ravens. I played it later on. I'm probably going to play it. I'm going to see what happens with the line. I think it's going to go. I have a feeling it's going to go 3 juiced. I don't think it'll get to 3.5. I played it roughly about 2%. So it's a solid play. And the interesting one is the other one you just brought up is the Sunday night game. And this opened 2.5. A lot. It's 1.5. Some people have 1. It is not. It'll go to a pick before it goes anywhere near 3. If you were lucky enough to get 2.5 or 1.5, you want to close some teasers with Miami. I think it's a very good play. But I think Miami wins the game. Now I don't love it. I am actually hoping the Miami wins the game, something crazy, because then you're going to get something. Oh, Jalen Hurts. You got people sitting there waiting for Jalen Hurts to be bad,
Sure,
or be average.
right.
And then we're going to get some more value as he goes on the road.
Yeah,
Where
because his MVP odds will drop too, like Mahomes a couple of years
They
ago.
get a little bit, and you're like, wow, there's no real difference between 3.5 and 6. Well, there is.
Yes,
there is. It's
great point.
It's a big difference, and I think you might get some distinct value there. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think we're getting into a schedule where we've had a lot of blah. A lot of the Brown-San Fran game was a great game. It would have been. How much better is it if Watson plays? I mean, I keep calling PJ Tucker. I keep calling him Deshaun Watson. I just call him Deshaun.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun plays. How great is that game? They still would have been dogs.
Yeah.
I had the dummy end of Cleveland. I had
got a good defense.
I had plus 8.5. The line goes to 10 and 10.5. You're like, dummy. Did you, I played it even thinking Watson wasn't going to play. I thought 8.5 was a good number. Mistake. But I thought it was a good line, a good number, 8.5. Obviously, it's much better, 10.5. I played it for a little bit more. I didn't go overly crazy. You got it. It was a close game. It's kind of all I wanted. And then, and I have another game that the line opened 6. It's 5.5. They've kind of, it's readjusting it, and you're going to hate this game. They're going to hate this. Is the Chargers in Kansas City? Nobody is playing it. There's already Chiefs fans social media. Do you guys really believe the Chargers are going to come in?
Them. I'm done with them.
Everybody's done with them. That's the point. That's the point of betting. You want everybody to be done with them. You want the market to hang a 7.
Well, hold on. If it's a 7, then we can talk a little bit.
Right. Nobody wants it. Oh, it's a great line. You put 6 and 6.5 out there, because if I'm taking the action, nobody's playing the Chargers with the 6.5. Nobody. Only the smartest of the smart guys might take a shot with that. But you can't get hurt, I don't think, overall. But I do have some knowledge of how some of the intricacies of coaching goes on. They always have an assistant, those quality control guys, or the assistant to the assistant offensive coordinator. Those guys look at the film of the next opponent.
Sure.
Ahead of time. To help get the gist of the game plan. They don't worry too much about like, oh, what if Mahomes doesn't play, that kind of thing. So here's kind of where we're going to go. So it's not like they're thinking the way we think or the way the masses think, like, oh, this is game against Dallas, we lost. Oh, by the way, we have Kansas City this week. I don't think the players looked ahead. The players don't do that. The coaches look ahead. I know it's not going to be popular. I will, if I get 6 or more, I did not play it yet. I'm going to be looking at the Chargers. My only drawback of the Chargers defense is so bad. It's below average. And Kansas City's defense is above average.
At home, prime time.
Yeah, but you know what? They should have lost to the Jets. I hate that should have. I hate that should have thing. What happened is what happened. The Jets have a much different defense. It's a much game. They were on the road. I will say that from middle, there is parity and there's a lot of confusion week to week. That's what makes betting, especially in the NFL, so difficult. I'll take a look at that. And then here's another game that's difficult for the masses and the talk, it's going to become more and more prevalent. We talked about it last week, is Buffalo and New England.
Yep.
And the more, I guess it's lucky in the sense that Belichick didn't lose by 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns.
The longer they keep losing, the line, the talk about tanking, Williams.
That's getting more and more. And apparently the Patriot fans are all over. They want Belichick gone, I've heard, which is mind-blowing. But they want to bring somebody else in. I get it. I'm already thinking, where does he go? I threw out, we mentioned last week,
Washington.
Maybe Washington, because they got the big money. Is there any shot that Jerry Jones eats his crow if the Dallas doesn't make the playoffs or gets knocked out first round? And he goes down there with the defense already set. And Jones says something like, you got to you can't bring O'Brien with it or something like that. We got to fix the offense or whatever. How does he not hire Belichick if Belichick?
Well, he's going to open up the checkbook. Not that Belichick needs the money.
But Belichick might say, I want the world. Because remember, Parcells was there.
That's the problem.
Parcells was there. And I haven't heard this anywhere. You might hear, this might be the first place to hear it. Parcells played there. You're going to tell me that they're not having conversations? What's it like dealing with Jerry? It's not that bad. If he writes the checks, he'll leave you alone. You got Super Bowl wins. That's what he wants. His way, he hasn't done anything in a generation. And I think it's very enticing for Belichick to come in and have that defense to work with. Holy smoke. I mean, the defense is already good.
Yeah. Give him a follow on Twitter at Professor Shine. He gives some unbelievable insight, opinions. He enjoys trolling on his in his spare time as well. All right, my friend. I don't know, man. We might have to double dip this week and hit it on Friday. See how these lines move a little bit.
One last thing before we leave, I'll be real quick. If we don't get a chance to meet Friday, is the everybody will be watching, and it's going to be very interesting. The Penn State Ohio State game.
Huge game.
A lot of people were guessing, I think Ohio State will be 6. They'll be -7. They'll be, and they hung a 4 or 4.5. And man, if Penn State doesn't get them this year,
when
you'd like to have them at home. Franklin blew the game where he punted 900 times inside Ohio State territory. They play the old school ball. They make Stroud go 90 yards, and he went 90 yards. Was it Stroud who did it? I think it was Stroud who did it. Remember, it was a close game, nip and tuck, 2 really good teams. Ohio State proved it. A cynic could say, hey, he made him go to you. I say, you had the ball, 4th and inches 3 times or 4th and 2 3 times at home. Put them to the test. I think it's going to be, I'm hoping for a great game. I do not like Penn State in this game. I think they have the talent. I think Franklin, if he's not the top 3 best recruiters in the country, he's the best recruiter in the country. I mean, he's the John Calipari to me of football. For whatever reason, he goes in, your kid's just going to, you fall in love with him. He's not a game coach.
Yeah.
I think he might do something dumb. As a matter of fact, I'm almost guaranteed he's going to make a decision that cost him. But if Penn State wins that game, the whole world in college football turns upside down. You're
down.
almost upside down as it is. Alabama's not that good this year.
Yeah.
Washington and Oregon would both pound Alabama, I'll tell you right now. And what did I say about underrated teams? There's some underrated teams in that Pac-12. Arizona, look, unfortunately, Arizona had to take it out on poor Washington State. And now everybody's, oh, look, Arizona's pretty good. I said when it comes bowl time, you're going to see some of these matchups. Cal's going to get a matchup. Arizona's going to get a matchup against some of these lower-tiered SEC teams, and they're going to house. I'll tell you right now, they're going to house a couple of these teams. My problem is Washington and Oregon. You just saw 2 of the best teams in the country. Neither might make this Final Four.
Crazy. Yeah, we're gonna have to double dip in again into some college as well.
That's right.
Outstanding stuff today, my friend. Always appreciate it. Don't forget, as we mentioned, our Tuesday edition BYP from our wonderful Gens over at Played Again Sports. We'll talk about him the rest of the week on BYP. Prop always kind enough to join us. Do not forget to follow him on Twitter at Professor Shine. He keeps it real. He gives you insight, opinions, and he's transparent. And that's what you need when you're talking about sports betting and sports handicapping and sports gambling as well. Prop, appreciate you, brother. We'll do it again.
Take care. Good luck.